This episode is sponsored in part by PTZOptics. Why hire a camera operator when the control is in your hands? Visit PTZOptics.com for more information. And by NewTek, makers of the TriCaster TC1. Stun your viewers, not your accountant. Visit newtek.com for more information.
Whoa. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Salt Talk. I forgot I had that transition on. I was showing that on one of the streams, and I didn't realize I had that still on. But that's all right. That's cool. It's a little bit of fun to start out. Guys, welcome. I know we normally do this show on a Wednesday, but we'll get to why we didn't do it yesterday in a minute. But we appreciate you guys tuning in here, and we're going to have an exciting episode here. I want to introduce my traveling partner, Mr. Greg Terry.
Hey, brother.
What's going on?
Oh, doing good. Spent 2 days in Washington, D.C. I was at the Ukrainian embassy meeting with U.S. House of Reps, senators, Ukrainian ambassador. Been supporting Ukraine and working there for 26 years. So I was invited down for a forum, communication about the war, about spirituality, everything. And it was really, really good time there. Got back home last night, got in the bed about 3 a.m. I live here on the East Coast, not far from you. And here we are, 11:04 a.m. We're going to roll today with this, and I leave in the morning, speaking in San Francisco this weekend. So that's my schedule. But the most important part is this hour.
Yes. You're a busy guy. So it's good. It's good to have it. And that's why we couldn't do this yesterday, because obviously he's calling me. He's like, hey, I'm on the road. I'm on my way to Washington, D.C. Can we push this back for 24 hours? So
yeah, the invitation came at the last minute, and you do not turn that down.
No, not at all. So It was great. It was great to have that little bit of buffer because we wanted to do this show for you, because Greg and I were talking last week. We were like, okay, so where do we want to go with this week? And Greg was like, well, we're doing a lot of revisions at our church, and this is something, we're right around the time. I know schools do this. They start planning for the following year, upgrades and things, and everybody always thinks it's always technologically based, or we're really set with technology, right? We don't need any upgrades. So I kind of wanted to ask you, we'll do like a pitch and question and answer type thing. Because I think this will help some people out. So you being a pastor, when your folks from other departments need stuff for the following year, what do you expect from them? What are they? You looking for, like a presentation? Or are you looking for them to get all the information and bring it to you? What are you looking for?
But look for vision.
Okay.
Look for dreaming about getting better. Look about providing in their areas of ministry a better environment to minister the gospel of Jesus. And if it's possible and it can be worked into the budget, we have to invest into how we deliver the message, how we share the gospel. It's not just technology. It can be down to T-shirts, appreciating volunteers, having an environment where people feel that it can be home for them and their spiritual family and their spiritual livelihood. So, we want to create that environment, and that's from top to bottom, not just tech.
Okay. So when you go into said meeting, right? So you get all your leadership there, your heads of departments, and you go in, and this is, I'm sure there's other people. John Cook said, this should be a good one today. He's been looking forward to this. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you, John.
Do you guys set up a specific budget? Do you say, look, we have, we'll just say $50,000 that we need to divide up amongst 5 departments. You each get $10,000, but that's flexible one department or the other, depending on what you need and who needs it and how big the purchase is going to be. Is there something along those lines, or do you guys really not do that? It just kind of goes need by need.
We have, so basically you have, for us, you have worship, which includes everything in the sanctuary. that can be tech, that can be media, that can be communion supplies, everything. So that's we keep it simple. That's worship. And then we have, of course, children, we have facilities, and we have, senior. You guys watching this are part of churches. You know the different ministries you have. So they fall into these categories. We also have what's called capital improvements, meaning we're going to do something major. We typically do something major every 8 to 10 years. And this year, we just completed a major, and we're going to show you some video about that in just a little while. So that's different. So our budget planning begins in August, and we put the information out. Okay, children's pastor, what's 2024 looking like? How's your curriculum? What upgrades do you need? Start putting your budget together. This is not staffing. This is ministry related. Then the same message goes to all the departments. And then October 15th, we have a budget and finance team. They take all of that information. They start massaging the budget. And to be quite honest, we have a good team, and they figure it out. So we do not just say, okay, we've got 50,000 here to put 10 in each ministry. Maybe children this year needs 20, and tech's golden. We're just going to maybe upgrade one camera next year and call that good. So that's what we do.
So one of the things, and there's a suggestion tip here I'll pull up here in a second. So I think this is the reason I'm asking this question. We get a lot of churches and houses of worship that are just starting out, and they're looking for a way to not create problems within the house where they can be fair with every department. And that's why I was kind of asking that. Maybe senior pastors or senior leaders out there are looking like, how do I do this to not offend and get my other departments angry with me? And I think that sometimes senior leaders can go, well, this has more importance. This department has more importance because it falls under our vision. Like one of our visions at our church is children and youth. So that does sometimes get priority over other departments, but a lot of the other departments don't really need a lot. And I know you guys, you do a lot with special needs folks. So is there a circumstance where that's okay to say like certain areas of ministry do get more priority than other areas of ministry?
We would never say that personally.
Okay.
We have an understanding with our leadership. Of course, it doesn't go to the congregation, but with our leaders of the different ministries, of course, they know. We've been, it comes to developing a good staff, laying out the vision, building a cohesive unit. But let's be very simple here. If our main camera, our PTZOptics 4K move went out, okay?
Yes.
On Thursday, and we have church on Sunday.
That's got to be fixed.
We're getting a new camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that.
That's emergency situation.
Yeah.
Budget's irrelevant. We have to have our camera. I see the suggestion tip here from John. He's correct. So ministries in our church have their budget, but there are certain ministries, it goes unsaid, but if a camera goes out, if a computer goes out for the children's ministry and they can't run their music,
right,
we're replacing it.
Right.
It's not it comes out of the budget, but it's a little different. Also, to speak to John's comment, when we come to the end of the year, which we're pushing on now, our finance team will come to children's ministries and say, you've got $1,100 more bucks and another month. Go get something. What do you need?
Right.
Dream about something.
Right.
So, and those times that, it's like in tech ministry and the media ministry, they come and say, okay, you got some more money here. We don't need anything. Just put that in a safety fund for next year. We're working together.
Right.
And it works.
No,
It's about cohesion,
right.
and that's why I wanted to stress it's not something is more important. Of course, you've got to have a camera. Your speaker blows up. You've got to have a speaker. That's understood. Okay.
Yeah,
but,
and that's how most places work. But
every ministry is valid, and we want to treat them
right
with the same respect.
But I think when people have that in their vision, sometimes if it's not clear from senior leadership, that's what I was getting at.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not clear, like, yeah, just because it's in the vision, that doesn't mean, like, if the toilet gets clogged, we got to fix the toilet. It doesn't mean, like, oh, we don't have a budget for it. And with tech, when it comes to, like, when I do upgrades at the church, we might drop $10,000 one year like we did with the sound system, right? The sound system needed to be replaced. It wasn't a matter of, did we budget this year? It was a matter of it had to be done, right? But you're not doing that every year. And
correct.
And so that's what you're saying, where don't get wrapped up in just because it's the vision of the church that children and youth are your focus, that they get the priority. It's like Greg was saying, whatever. If your mixer blows up one Sunday, you got to fix the mixer. There's no questions about it.
And I know that probably a lot of guys that are watching the stream, we have to deal with boards and committees and all of that. Yeah. And I'd love for them to be in here. We have to plan for those things.
That's
we
right.
have to think about that as ministries, the rainy day events, especially this is Salt Talk, sound and light tech for houses of worship. If you think you're going to be exempt from having a problem or something breaking,
right,
and hoping for the best, forget it. There will be, what's the old song? Mama said there'd be days like this. There'd be days like this, Mama said.
Yep.
That's exactly what happens. And you guys that are in here, you've probably been ministering in your churches and houses of worship for years and years. You know it. I see John's comments there. My board's going out. Okay, how do I present that? What do I do? It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah, and the church, your house of worship, they have to understand that technology fails. We upgraded our computers, Greg, I think about 10 years ago, our Macs, and we always try to go, and you know how Pastor Ken is. He's like, we're getting the best that we can buy. We're not going to skimp on it. We are going to get the best, and do whatever we got to do to get the best, so that way in 10 years we can upgrade, right? You guys do the same thing. So one of the things, we're at the point where the Mac Mini in our kids' room, the Mac Mini, or MacBook Pro that we use for the Pro Presenter and everything, it's on life support. Like, it's just not handling it. So I want to get some of the new Mac Studios. There's been rumors now. I got the Mac Studio M2. It's phenomenal. There's rumors that the M3 is going to be
at your house. That's smoking.
So I'm looking to get those for the kids ministry and also for the Pro Presenter up in the media. It's cheaper than a Mac Pro, but it's powerful, right? You can do it. So I'm sitting there and I'm going, Apple just did their iPhone event. There's rumors that in the next 2 weeks we could see an M3 Mac Studio. So I'm like, okay, let me just hold off a couple of weeks yet, or get it before year's end, obviously. But the senior pastor and the board know that this is coming. It's already been approved. They know that I'm going to be diligent, because I watch this stuff, to get the best that we can at the time. Now, we're not going to draw it out to where, like, it's not firing up and it causes us issues. But if we can wait a few weeks, that's what we're going to do. So,
well, the waiting for a few weeks, let's say the new unit drops and it does have the M3 processor. What you've done is, by waiting and maybe spending a little more, you've protected yourself for the next 7-8 years.
Right.
You have to be long-term thinking in what you purchase, especially in light, sound, tech media.
And John's saying in the chat room, he says, possibly changing to a digital mixer, which I highly recommend doing, and I know Greg does. And which one? He said we get about $300 month budget or $3,600 a year, but there are other reserves for special purchases, just trying to figure out the best use of money. So let me throw this out to you. There are companies out there. I'm going to pull this up here on the computer here so you guys could see. There are companies out there that I've dealt with in the past with smaller churches and houses of worship that do 0% financing. And even oftentimes it's not financing like you would deal with.
Not traditional.
Not traditional financing. So if you're getting a certain budget a month and you don't want to deplete it, look for companies like Zounds. They do a lot where you can get like 36 months. You're not paying any interest on it. They work a lot with churches and houses of worship. Let's say you needed a new drum kit a lot of times, or let's just click on this electric bass here. Let's see here. A lot of times you can see it even has here, you're approved. Simply add any no credit check item in your cart. And they'll tell you right here. So 18 months at $122.17. If you're like, well, no, I can afford the 12 months at $183 because our budget is, I think you said $300.
$300.
That still gives you almost $125 to play with that month in case something else goes wrong. So there's ways, Greg, there's ways around that to get what you need and stay in your budget, especially if you're getting a monthly budget like John's getting right now, right?
Well, he asked how to present it. It's pretty simple. If you come in on Sunday and half of your board's working and half's not, it's presented. Pastor, it's time for a new board.
I always like the one where, people say that and you get all these complaints over the last month of how bad the audio sounds on the internet. I'm using this as an example from when we did our audio upgrade and we went to you guys. We went to the board and the board says, oh, everything sounds good in church. And we told them, they weren't opposed to it, but we told them, we're like, yeah, go look at the comments on Facebook and YouTube and how trashy it sounds. And they're like, sounds like we need a new system. That's what the board said. Because you're right. That's 100% the best way to do it. Like, when you're telling the pastor you need a new computer, and he's like, this one's fine, until he sits down and uses the computer, and it's going like 2 miles an hour.
Or it crashes during his
sermon. Yes. And he goes, hey, something happened to the computer. Well, I've been telling you now for 3 months that we needed a new computer. My brother has been attending a church that he's a worship leader at back Eastern PA, and they had Song Select. Are you familiar with that? Okay.
Very much.
And I'm not going to name the church because I don't want to put the guy on blast, but the guy that they have running their tech, he got them $1,000 computer off of eBay. It was a laptop, an i5 for $1,000 with an integrated graphics card, but it's also a shared graphics card. So it's using system memory, and it has an integrated graphics card. So very, very small. So I had my daughter, we upgraded her. She wanted a gaming PC last year for Christmas. So that's what we had gotten her. Got a really good deal on it. She's thrilled. She played all her Minecraft and everything like that, use it for school. She had an older i7 MacBook Pro. I think it was from, I want to say 2017. It was like a hand-me-down. I got and I fixed it and stuff. But I was talking to the pastor on the phone, and I says, I have this i7. I'll put ProPresenter on there, and I guarantee you it will run circles around the laptop that you have there. And I'm not going to charge you for it. I'm going to give it to you. And I said, that's what you need to think about when you see this thing run for your budget. And I said, you could have bought the same similar thing for $1,000. And he didn't know. But this is why you have to inquire of other people, because they had that same problem. They kept crashing.
This is why programs like Salt Talk that PTZOptics sponsors is important, because an overwhelming majority of churches do not know. It's not that they do not want to be better and have a desire to be the best they can be, but they just don't know where to go for information. Because if you go to the internet now and you type in new soundboard for my church, you're going to see 10 different options. I see Alan there with the Midas M32. It's fantastic. And there's lots. Behringer, the X32 kind of broke through and started showing houses of worship and churches a different way to their sound years ago. And now others are coming behind, whether it's Yamaha, Allen and Heath, all in the same family and genre of making it easy for churches to use. But if we don't have a good resource, sometimes the internet can hurt us as almost as much as it can help us. So find somebody that you can have a personal relationship with. You're always welcome to email us. The email addresses are here. Go to the website, send a question. I have a Salt Talk question. Send it. And we'll always do our best to help, because this is about equipping people and ministries to be the most effective to share the gospel.
Yeah, and like you said, it's great to see Alan here. Alan's a longtime follower here of PTZOptics as well as Salt Talk, so it's great to see him here.
Got a great picture there too.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. So if there's anybody,
I see that.
But we also,
I think I see VMix in the background.
Yeah, he's a we also have you guys got us set up on the Behringer X32. I'm curious to see, like, so I have one of the new PreSonus rack mount mixers, and PreSonus,
yeah, here comes PreSonus now. Exactly.
They swear they have better preamps than Behringer, but then again, the Behringer X32 has been what, like 15 years old, 13?
No, it's
when it first
10 maybe.
Is it 10? Okay.
I think.
But still, the fact that it's still relevant today after being 10-year-old tech.
It was a trendsetter.
It was a
trend. Now, yeah, it was a trendsetter. The price point, the abilities, remote control with iPad, everything. It was a trendsetter.
But one thing your guy said to me is that any mixer you get from here on out, get a rack mount and use your iPad to control it. He said, you will thank me later. And he's 100% correct. I use the iPad here with me, and you guys can't really see it, but let me see if I can't do a little bit of show and tell here.
Come on, the wizard of broadcasting.
Oh yeah, we'll get it. Hang on a second. You guys can see it here on my iPad. I have the mixer, even though the mixer is over there on my desk. I control everything during the show. I control it right from here. If I need to mute myself to cough, I can just mute it here. And the Behringer X32 can do that as well. And so that's why I'm 100%. I don't care who you go with. It better have iPad support or Android support, whatever.
Well, no.
Digital support.
No. It better have iPad support.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Listen to me closely.
Android's terrible.
An Android tablet will fail in tech, period.
It makes me nervous that my truck has an Android base in it, and sometimes, like, when you sync your phone with Bluetooth, you'll be just driving down the road, and the audio just stops. Any sounds just stop. It's Android.
The bottom line is, the Android system's open. It's a whole different conversation now, but that closed system on Apple, it just brings stability when you're dealing with higher end stuff. Your higher end apps that you're using to control your board.
Yes.
I want that to be on a closed system that some dude's not in manipulating or trying to make better.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what you think of this when we go to get this set up inside the studio here, to put it out there. But for right now, I know both Greg and I, we have been suggesting the Behringer X32. And it looks like Alan, he is suggesting, let me see here, the M32, with the
John's
minus
considering
M32.
the QU16, QU24, M32.
Yeah.
SQ5. See, he knows. That's all of them. And there's more.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was over Stevens. I know about the new PreSonus board that's coming in. And if it performs the way they say it's going to perform, it's going to be really good. Really good.
Yeah, one of the things I know that they had been working on was, Greg, the ability that they announced, the ability to control the mixing board from anywhere in the world if you can get a network connection. So that type of thing is huge for a house of worship, especially if, like you travel a lot. But let's say you're the sound guy. You are the man. You have to travel to California.
You got one main guy, and he's in Indonesia on a business trip.
Right. What do? You're starting to have an issue. You pull it up and say, hey, Greg, something's not working right. Oh, I see what you did here. You soloed this out instead of, panning it over. You go in there, you fix it. Church goes on as normal. So those types of things, no matter what company. I am not a pro company person. I'll just state that. Like I said, we use Behringer at the church. I want the best bang for my buck, and I want the best way that I can control what I need to do. And in some instances, you know, I have a relationship with Personas. That's not a secret here. I've worked with them for years. So a lot of times I get to test their gear out. They send it to me for review. I'm just going to put it out there. And Greg's like, well, if they're sending it to you and they want you to use it, you'd be a fool to try to go buy something else. Just use it, but be honest about it. And that's what I've been. So
no question.
I think that's what we need to
I
do.
saw in the chat there, older than 2013, 24. I'm very confident 24.4 VLZ Pro. I used to have one of those as 1990s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's
1990s.
That's insane.
I know the 1604 came out in 1991. So
okay.
I do know that.
So one of the things Greg had, and we'll get back to this budget here in just a second, but I wanted to tell you guys. So last time Greg was on, you were talking about your internet real quick, because this is one thing that I thought would be ideal to put into this. You went with the T-Mobile hotspot thing that they have, the home internet, right? I had told Ken and Linda about it, and they actually put that in their house. They were getting like 8 megs down and like 1 meg up, and they're like tickled that they can watch Netflix or Hulu. Christy can get on her PS5 and game, and other people could be on their phone.
They're doing it through T-Mobile?
They're doing the T-Mobile, the same thing you did with the tower. Yeah. Some of you guys had mentioned, and this is why I'm bringing it up, some of you guys had mentioned in previous episodes, like, hey, I'm in a rural area. I can't get cable. I can only get satellite. The option is there. Greg will tell you with T-Mobile, and I'll pull it up here in a second, that T-Mobile $50 a month home internet that you could get for your church or house of worship to get rid of dial-up, to get rid of DSL, to get rid of, well, maybe you can't get cable, right? Maybe that's something
HughesNet.
you can't. HughesNet, yeah, whatever it is. I'm going to pull it up here. Again, this is no sponsored nothing here. I'm just going off of people that picked it up. But it's a price lock. Talk a little bit about that price lock for people wanting to know what you heard from them.
It's lifetime. So I run 2 systems here because I stream, with my own stuff, and I needed a backup. So I have my cable coming in, but additionally I travel a lot. So I went and talked to my mobile provider, which is T-Mobile. And actually my buddy, who's my sound engineer, he went with Verizon. He lives right down the street from me, and both are phenomenal. Speeds, bandwidth. I'm able to stream to multiple locations, can run my entire house. My kid's gaming. My wife's watching a movie on Netflix, and I'm streaming. It's really good. It can travel with you. You're going on the road. Maybe you're doing an event for your church and you're out of the lake and you want to do a baptism. Get some power to it and connect to your router. It looks just like that black tower, and now you're portable. So not only do we have to talk equipment when we're thinking about budget and what's going to be coming up in your next year, but you also have to think about how you're going to facilitate it. So I see John's comments there, maybe hard pressed on the budget more than an X32, and that's great. I see Keith's comment, 150 member church, and I go to this event and everything is way out of our range, but it was still good information from the event. That's why you have to do a little bit of hunting. But I'm here to tell you guys, there are wonderful alternatives and solutions out there for get a little creative. Let's say your church is spending $100 a month on internet, and you say, okay, we're only using 15 upload and 100 download and nothing else going on. You could save money in order to move money to other places when you're trying to think ahead, and the technology is always getting better. If you're looking at the X32, John, you have to also think ahead, because you're going to come to the place where you're going to need the peripheral stuff. You're going to need maybe an iPad so that you can control it properly,
Digital
or
snake.
you're going to need, look at your whole package there and make sure you've got the right cables. You've got X32, you're also going to need an additional wireless router, you know, $75 or whatever. You connect to it so that the guys on the stage can control their own monitor mix by connecting through their phone to the board. So just think ahead, because it can build. That's a good one too. The X18, it is.
Don't you guys use that for like when you play out and stuff? The X Air or the X18.
We have that at our youth facility. We use
one.
X32 rack for travel.
Okay, that was the rack then. That's right, because I remember Chris.
No, but we have the X18 Air at our youth facility.
Okay.
We've got them both.
Yeah. So you guys are using all that.
The other thing is, if you do have multiple setups, it's easy for people to be trained on one thing, and maybe you need some help at they know how to operate it. So
that's consistent. A good point. Bring up, like, if you're using Behringer and you need to buy stuff for your youth and kids room, try to keep everything either in the same family so there's no learning curves. That way you can pull people from different departments as needed if somebody doesn't show up or they're sick, that somebody can run. Like, at least Greg knows, hey, I know the X32. I could go to the youth facility and run whatever mixer that they have, or, you know, on the iPad and things like that. So yeah. All right. Well, let's kind of get into see what your upgrades were. Let's talk a little bit. Let's first show that. And okay, let's run that. Let's go, and then we'll go from there and let people see kind of like what you guys were working on.
Okay. I'm going to run this video about 7 minutes. I think this is how we facilitate, or hopefully this will give you a good example of how you look at budgets, not just for tech and media, but how the whole church functions together. So here it is. All right, guys, let's talk about budgeting for 2024. And I know this is tech, but this is Salt Talk. And we're here to help you in your ministry. So our church recently did a renovation. We just finished last week. And it was not only tech, but it was externals and fresh carpet. And this was budgeted in 2022. So here we are in the fall of 2023, or the early beginning of fall here soon. And we just made a couple of adjustments. We put a wooden entry point onto our kids ministry department when you go through that wing right there. But of course, it matches our big, beautiful one here. Now, in the evening, LED lights lighting it all up. I can tell you that this wood is barn wood. Barn was taken down, built in the 1880s, this huge barn beam here. And we're in northwestern Pennsylvania, so this is the look here. And it brings attention to our entryway. So 3 main doors, 1, 2, and 3. We want the 2 on the left to be our entry points, and you'll see why in just a moment. We want 1 to be the exit, so we have a better flow when we're running multiple services. Additionally, we took the time, the effort, to spruce up our parking lot with a fresh seal coat and new paint. So let's come on in. Yeah, the block work, new concrete, the yellow stripes, everything. It takes just a little bit extra to do things with excellence. Let's come in. How about on the tech side? How about walking in and seeing 3 75-inch televisions linked together? Now, on this display, I'm going to tell you guys something secret in just a moment. Stephen, make sure you ask me what the secret is about the displays. New wooden benches to match the decor, all new carpet, all new paint. The tech that's running through here, all of our sound connected, running throughout the building. Our live streams go to multiple televisions throughout, seating areas, coffee shop, bookstore. Everything done with excellence. The fresh smell, it's incredible. Budgeting for next year, make sure you have good signage in your church. Where are the bathrooms? Where are the children's ministries? Sanctuary, where's the other wing? Family Resources Board. Little things like this. Tech, how about instead of sound, 3 accent lights? I think that falls into tech. You then come down to this wing. We freshened up our preschool. We run a preschool here. Everything in the same theme. Yes, television's running our services. You know what? I'm going to show you guys something cool also about our tech. This is actually connected to our media room and sound engineers place. Do you see right there that traffic signal? So on Sundays when the services are happening, green means service is underway, yellow means they're getting to the end, and red means the service is over. That way the teachers know what is going on. I would think that's tech, salt, and light, making a difference, making an adjustment. Now we come back into our main area here, and Stephen, of course, knows this place well. Guest services, next steps. That direction goes into our second children's wing. Now we come into the sanctuary. What did we do in here? Well, I'm going to tell you what we did in here. We cleaned up. So part of your budget for 2024, clean your building. Make sure there's no cables laying around and everything is wired correctly. Of course, you can see here we run a 4-camera system, all PTZOptics. There's camera 1. Our mid camera here, of course, is the Move 4K. The new tracking system on that is unbelievable. 3rd, PTZOptics. And then our 4th is up there for a backfill so that we can get crowd shots, et cetera, et cetera. So here, added some accent lighting to some of our boards. You say, well, that's in your budget? Sure it is. Worship is not just music, guys. Worship is preparing the atmosphere for people to see and experience Christian brotherhood, sisterhood, and most importantly, a relationship with God where lives are being changed. Now, on the stage itself, just want you to see. Everything is clean. Well, Jesse left his cable uncoiled. He's in trouble, one of my guitar players. No, nothing. There's nothing. Microphones, of course, where the guys were. So electric guitar here, bass guitar here, drums here, second electric here. Our violinist is here. Acoustic guitar is here. Keys are here. Vocal team is across there. Everything relatively clean. So a part of our upgrade for 2024 was we budgeted money in running all new cables. And of course, we had to get some skinny guys to get up under the stage, run everything under the stage, all to its own positions. Therefore, it was clean. You know, aesthetics are equally as important as how you sound. Of course, we want to sound good and look good, but if your stage is full of trash, it's not going to be that interesting here. As you guys can see here, we have a double-decker media room. So you come up into the steps. This is where sound engineer sits. We have 2 sound engineers, one sitting in this media room for backup in case we have a problem. Of course, the cameras are not on or anything now, but vMix all set up, all of our external monitors there. Everything is controlled from here. We use central control. We use X keys. We use vMix. And then you come upstairs. You have to use your space to the best of your ability. You come upstairs and you get to our Pro Presenter. This is our Pro Presenter station. And then this is our light board operator. They're looking down over the sanctuary. So folks, as you're looking to your budget, hopefully these 7 minutes here have given you some ideas on things that you can include as you look ahead to get better. We're all working together. Steven, don't forget to ask me the magic question. Thanks, guys.
Okay. So, the magic question. Greg mentioned it twice in the broadcast. The magic question. What is the magic?
Okay, let me do this. I'm gonna cut back to this part and just remind you here a little bit extra to do things with excellence. Let's come in. How about on the tech
Everybody
side?
look at the board.
How about walking in and seeing 3 75-inch televisions linked together? Now, okay, so magic question is this. How much did that cost?
Well, depending on how you have it set up, I mean, you're probably costing whatever the TVs cost. Maybe you're running it with a Raspberry Pi. Maybe you're running it with a net-top PC.
They're 75-inch TVs. We got them for $525 each.
Okay, $1,500.
We bought a, and I'm not to the magic question yet. We bought a 6-channel HDMI splitter, so we could actually put 3 more TVs on top of it, flip them upside down, and run a full board. But we just wanted that as a welcome banner. Okay, we budgeted this $1,500 for that. The TVs, $500 for $600 for the I'll call it a switcher. I don't know exactly what it's called, but how you put them all together. We got a $550 Mac Mini, older, that runs it all without even panning. We have about $2,500 in it, including the cabling. That's it. Now, that's not the magic question. You look at that and you say, okay, well, that looks good. It's inviting.
Yeah.
Well, we want to do some things with excellence. Fortunately, we're blessed. And one of our guitar players is a computer code writer, does a lot of work with Google, a lot of work in California, and he's brilliant. And actually, his wife is our communications coordinator. So we asked him, is it possible to write a program where we could control those TVs remotely? So within the next 30 days, he is writing a program for us. Nobody else in the world will have it. Maybe he can sell it later or give it away to churches. But he's writing a program that will have a website login and an app to put on your phone. And our tech and media guys will control that new welcome board. And everything will be scripted. On Sunday mornings, it will say, welcome to Bethel Life and what's happening. Let's say there's Sunday evening, some special event. It'll cue off of our calendar out of our administrative office, and it will switch to that video. Monday night, we have Celebrate Recovery at 5:30 p.m. So at 5 p.m., it'll change from Welcome to Bethel Life to Welcome to Celebrate Recovery. Tuesday morning is preschool. It'll switch. Welcome to Treehouse Preschool, or we can run videos. It will be fully automated.
Nice.
It's freaky, man. And that's the magic question. It's just a little bit of thinking outside of the box. And, I appreciate, John, your comment there. It is really a nice setup. But so the money invested, $2,500 for our big change there. We had some money in this stage cleaning it up. But the real thing is we got a guy, and we all have guys if we can find them. If you don't, that's why we have communities like this. We're going to take a $2,500 upgrade and turn it into $1 million idea.
Yeah.
Can you imagine your welcome wall just running by itself? And if something needs change, Chris logs in from home and goes, done.
And here's the key with that. It's linked to the calendar, which is, if he does stuff with Google, it's Google Calendar. They have a nice API that you can do a lot with.
That's what they're doing.
But you brought up something really interesting, and I don't know if anybody else caught that. He said his guitar player. Okay, there's a lot of ministries out there and houses of worship. You don't get to know your people. You know them, but you don't know them. You know that they play guitar, or that they are a good usher, but do you know them? Some of these guys that are in your church could be like programmers like Greg had on the side, that they do it and dabble for fun, that they could do, that they're just, they don't brag. They don't go out and say it. And I'm sure this guy didn't come right out. And you get to fellowship with them, you get to know them, and then you find out that they're just looking to get plugged in, and that's a way that they can get plugged in, because it's like 3 hours of coding that would take you and I probably months, years to learn how to do it, or never happen.
Well, but here's the interesting thing. It then begins to develop your team.
That's right.
And so think about this. $2,500 in our budget focused on that new video wall. What that now has done is not only created a welcoming environment and will affect every ministry in the church, but also it's allowed one of our church members to blossom and give back to the ministry in something they're skilled at. We went to, his name is Lance. We went to Lance and said, "Hey, bud, is there any way you could write like a little script on this Mac Mini here, and it'll just change videos, like randomly, so it's not always the same welcome sign?" Or he came back to us 2 days later and said, "I went home and thought about it. Why don't I just write an entire new program and you can control it from home?" It was his idea.
Nice.
Ours. Yeah. You help people blossom.
This is what I think you really need to put into your budget. If I can add this as one of the number one priorities for you guys in 2024, I'm just going to go there right now. Your number one priority on your budget, put this at the top of your list, and it won't cost you anything, is form new relationships with those people that are in your ministry, that are in your house of worship, because 2025's budget might depend on that relationship. Because just like Greg just showed, you might be able to do something along those lines. There's some things that we're working on as well. You have to do that. You have to build a relationship with the people. Otherwise, I mean, you're just upgrading a few TVs every year or computers. Like, you're taking that to a whole new level.
So can I give mine?
Yeah,
number one?
Go ahead.
Mine costs money for the church.
Of course yours does.
Okay. You need, everybody listen, volunteer, appreciation, banquet, cookout, whatever. We had ours on Labor Day weekend. We had a Sunday service outside. We had 350 volunteers there. They got free t-shirts. They were fed. We've played games. We had a baptism. And the people left there going, "Man, I'm a part of a family here, and I'm ready to roll." You've got to love on your people and find ways. I'm just going to be honest with you. We did that. Nobody did anything. Everybody was served. It's 350 volunteers, new t-shirts, chickens, food. It was $5,000. It was a $5,000 day. But that $5,000 that we budget every year to thank our volunteers pays off. I've got a guy writing a code for a custom program for free. Okay. It pays off. Invest in your people more than just take their gift from them.
And I'll dovetail that. We do one every year. We call it, this is our 10th annual one that we're doing it. The Tailgate for Jesus, we call it. In September.
Gotta have it.
We have it where we have the blow up obstacle courses. You've been there. You've come down for it.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, this year I will not be there. I will be in Pittsburgh for a gaming convention that I'll be a guest at. It kind of fell on an awkward time, and I was already contracted, so it is how it is. My wife will be there, but it does. It pays big dividends because it makes people feel like they're a family. And I think even though we both didn't know this, you notice our number ones had to do with involving and getting involved with your congregation. No matter what denomination, no matter what house of worship you are, get involved with your people.
Your greatest resource is not a dollar bill.
Or a piece of equipment.
Okay, I'm a preacher. So let's minus Jesus out of the equation right now. Okay, of course, he's the most valuable asset to our lives and our houses of worship. But we take the divinity out. The most important asset you have are your people. So, in summary, I know we're getting toward the end here, Steve. My best advice for budgeting is to budget and invest in your people.
Yep. No, I agree. That's kind of why I was putting that out there. If you don't have the finances, every house of worship, whether you're starter whether you've been in ministry for years, right there, Alan hit it. People, that's your number one investment. It was, all this other stuff is great. Prioritizing your budget. I did a little bit of, Greg and I were talking about this week. I can't take full credit for this. We were kind of doing a little play on words a little bit with the prioritizing the budget, but the reality is this is a priority in your budget. If it's not, you need to make it a priority. Even if you have your other budget done, put that at the top of your list. Do whatever you have to do to invest in your people, and you'll see more and more. Because, Greg, how many times do we see it? Houses of Worship's biggest complaint, I can't get people involved. And I turn to them and I say, what are you doing to get those people involved?
Right,
I turn the question back.
I'm going to give you guys a little insight here. I'm going to shoot you a desktop image. So let me go here, and I'm going to show you guys how do we invest in people. I go here. So we use Telegram, and it is nonstop communication, prayer requests on our worship team, videos communicating, music being shared. It's nonstop. And let me tell you something. This is that's my daughter who was climbing under the stage working. She's one of our vocalists. And, we gave away the free t-shirts. Free t-shirts aren't really ever free. There, she's up under the stage. But the point being is, this is our team sharing this. As you can see there's 26 people on our worship and media team. And it's nonstop. We try our best to be a family, and you have to get a little creative and focus on it.
All right. For those that are probably going to
nobody in my closed Telegram group. Nobody. So there you go.
Well, what I was going to say was there's so many people that are going to ask, what was that app? What are you using? So I'm going to pull that up here Telegram. Right now. It's called Telegram. Telephone, tell a friend, Telegram. Right there it is. And at least it doesn't blow up your messenger, right?
Well, look, let me have it back again. All
right.
This is interesting. So we had to cancel rehearsal due to the renovation. We turned it into a cleanup night. So I put a tension up, and I said, there's sofas from the front up on our stage. And, so all the guys started messaging, well, great, maybe we can lead worship from sofas. So then the gifts start flying. There's Al Bundy getting on the sofa. You build a relationship and you have fun. That's number one budget every year.
I think the reality is houses of worship, churches forget that church is family, or it should be family. It's not just people you see once a week. You should be able to create some kind of relationship, be a family. I think, how do you build trust, right? You have to communicate with somebody. How do you build a relationship? If you didn't talk to your wife or your spouse, right?
Yeah.
You have no relationship.
Correct.
So therefore,
hey, hit that question there, Stephen. You're way above my league on this.
Are you talking about this one here, Jim?
Yeah, from Jim.
Okay, let me pull it up because it cuts some of it off here. It says, Jim says, Greg, you've consistently talked about controlling things from home. We would love to run vMix and or ProPresenter from home, but even with fiber, we have too much latency. Help. So
Alan Bunt said AnyDesk.
Alan uses AnyDesk. I'll pull that up. I don't use AnyDesk. I use a free option. It's built into your browser. If you use Google, it's Google Remote. Google Remote Desktop. It's a plugin. Any computer that has that on there. In fact, I've done it from trade shows where I had to access things in my home studio to live stream, to turn things off, so I could turn things on. I'm going to pull this up here. So you literally, it's Chrome. Okay, I'm sorry. It's Chrome Remote Desktop. It used to be called Google Remote Desktop. I'm going to pull this up here so you guys can see it's a free plugin. You can access anything, anywhere, anytime. This is what I use. This is what we use at the church as well because it's free. And it's simple, it's fast. You're already using a browser. It doesn't take up much resources because it's browser based. It's simple. It's reliable. You just simply click on share my screen, and you punch in. So I don't have it on this computer because I don't use this one for that. You punch in the access code that it gives you for that computer, and boom, you're connected. It's literally that simple. This is my work account, so obviously it doesn't have anything. If I was in my personal account, you'd be able to see a list of computers show up here on the side that I could click on, and Greg easily bring up and go into it. Like, you've used TeamViewer in the past, right?
Yeah, TeamViewer. So
much faster, the least amount of latency.
Awesome.
On this, because it is browser based. So, either option's good. So it all depends on what you need. Try them both. I'm just going to throw that out there. Try them both. Alan had a great suggestion. Try them both. See which one you like and what one your team's going to like, because obviously that's what matters. If they don't like Google Chrome Remote Desktop or TeamViewer or Log Me In or any of those other ones, or you find that they're not working well,
I think we've ripped the Band-Aid off of a lot of questions here.
I see
we may have to have a program in the future about remote.
We might do that.
Remote work for churches.
In fact, maybe we'll do that. We'll set that up so where we can remote into the church setup and show everybody how that works.
Can you control OBS from either of these options?
OBS, vMix, Wirecast, anything that you're using software, any software that you control, even software for your audio mixer. If you have a digital mixer and then you have some of digital mixers, as Greg knows, they have an application that you can install. That's the actual software for the mixer. You can control faders and all that other stuff. The X32, I think, has one of them, right? That you can run on Mac or Windows. You can go in there as of right now and just remote in and control it. So we do this a lot. All of the people that we don't have a staff like Greg's church. We work from home, a lot of us. So what we do is, if we need something from the church computer, or if I need to set up Pro Presenter, or there's a funeral Saturday and our media team, and I say to Cody, hey, you got everything for the Saturday, all the slides for the funeral? He'll remote in, and sometimes if he can't make it there, he'll control it right from home. He'll just move the slides and stuff. So 100% you can do it. Is it going to be the same as sitting in front of it? I don't think any program is going to be the same. You're all dependent on your internet speed. Let's just put that out there. But it's definitely something, we could definitely talk about. Maybe we'll do that next month on remote control.
That'd be awesome.
Talk about the tools that we use. We'll even demonstrate it.
No, wait. This might be the time for John Mahoney.
Yes, because John does a lot of scripting. So
a lot of automation.
Would you guys like that? Would you want something with automation?
So remote and automation to make ministry easier. I think that's the ticket.
John Mahoney,
is a stinking genius.
He does the live to air stuff that we use to bring Greg into the show. We don't use Skype or anything, Zoom or anything. It's called live to air. And John is a stud, to take Greg's word. He is a stud when it comes to this.
Yeah. All right, let's get John on here.
I think you're right on that. I think that would be something I'll see about getting him.
We'll do remote and automation.
So this is, if you're interested, neuralnet.com, and you can see how it's spelled there. If you're looking to bring in remote guests, there's software-based.
I use NeuralNet.
And
Steve does.
And hardware-based. This is what we're using right now to bring you in. So anybody anywhere in the world could queue and run the software that I use to bring people in. And this is what Greg's in right now. We have a green room set up. It's awesome.
Let me have this. So if you go back to our production view, so
you're full screen.
I'll wait for.
You're full screen right now.
It shouldn't be flashing though.
You're full screen right now.
Why is it looping?
Because it's sending it back to you. Because you're doing picture in picture.
I got you. So this is what I'm seeing, though, guys, without the images. I'm seeing a back studio feed from Steven.
Let's do this. This way they can see it better. I'll go to a 2-box. That way you can see that. So Greg has it in a picture-in-picture view. As soon as it catches up here, you should be able to see. Because you're showing in the browser. Go back to your full screen. because it's going to continue just showing you, because your head's covering
I know it.
the return video. You in the picture.
I don't have an input for that. Forget it.
Right. But I was going to
Regardless,
say, because the way you
I'm
have
getting
yours
a
set
back
up,
feed.
yeah, you're
Yes.
getting a back feed.
It's pretty cool.
There you guys go. You can. I'll quickly switch to it. I'll quickly switch to it, but it's going to loop. You ready? There, you can see what Greg's getting, and I'll come back.
That's what I'm getting. Correct.
Because he's showing and sharing the screen. But having him come on would be awesome, because he does a lot of scripting, like Greg was saying. Anything that's going to make things easier and more streamlined, please. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here trying to do. Greg, you got to switch back to full screen there, buddy, because you still have that infinite loop on.
I'm in my
there
own
you
world
go.
here. There we go.
He's like,
my apologies.
that's why I pulled him off the screen, because I was like,
well,
people are
I
gonna get sick.
was reading Panda's comment.
Yeah.
And, to infinity and beyond. That's where we were just flying with all those loops. All right. Well, we got a plan. We'll get John on.
We'll get John on here, and we'll talk about some remote access. And John might even have other suggestions for other remote access. Listen, take every suggestion that you get on this show from the community in the chat, as well as us, and try everything. We're not sworn to one. We just know what programs work for us. We will state that. But you might like another program that was mentioned. Alan's suggestion. Maybe Alan doesn't like. Maybe he doesn't like Chrome desktop, and that's fine. Use what works, but I love options, Greg. I love having options. So this is something, like, I think you went with that Telegram. You tried to use Discord, and that was probably a train wreck. Well,
the older guys in the team couldn't figure it out, so I went to something simpler. Yeah.
So, but you like Discord, but there again, you had to go to something that worked for your team. So that's what we're saying to you here. Do that. We're going to wrap things up here. If you guys want to check out Greg on his daily show that he has, youtube.com/Greg Terry Experience, to keep up with all the things that have to do with the Ukrainian war and what's going on in our country without all the media fluff.
End times, Bible-based, sharing the truth. Thanks, Stephen.
So one of the things that I got yelled at for the last show is, remember we had that looping video of Mario? Somebody was like, wait a minute, I want to see what's going on with Mario. Like, what? And we had already gotten off the air.
Yes.
And so for those that don't know, I know I work for PTZOptics. I do the show here. We obviously want you guys, if you want to send questions, salttalk@ptzoptics.com is the email for it. Check out all the shows with PTZ Optics. I also have a personal channel. I do have some broadcast stuff on there, but mainly it's high-end gaming broadcasting. You can find it youtube.com/thetechbuzz. I do a lot of conventions. I do a talk show like this for gaming, home arcade, all that good stuff.
King of the dorks.
Yeah, if you want to nerd out to video games and not just gameplay, Greg knows, he's been over to my arcade. Go subscribe over there. You don't have to. I'm just throwing it out there if you want to see some of the other video work that I do. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in. I think PTZ Optics, so they've got me all thrown off here. I think there's one at the end of this month that they're doing another show. Usually theirs is at the end of the month. I haven't gotten any other information on that. So just stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. You'll find out. But next month, let's shoot for getting John Mahoney on, talk about remote and scripting, since it seems like that's what these guys want. And let's give the people what they want, right?
Agreed.
All right, guys. We will see you next time. And we appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Now get back to work. Break time's over.
Be blessed.